I never thought a simple game of golf could change my life so drastically. There I was, standing on the green, the sun warming my skin, feeling the thrill of the swing, and then Alex, with his charming smile and those eyes that seemed to see right through me, suggested we play together. It was just a game, or so I thought. But as we walked the course, each step felt like we were crossing an invisible line. The air was thick with an unspoken promise, and by the time we reached the 9th hole, I knew we were playing a game far more dangerous than golf. What started as a harmless outing turned into a secret that could unravel everything I held dear. Would you dare to find out what happened next? As I stood on the porch, watching the leaves dance in the gentle breeze, I couldn't help but feel the weight of time pressing down on me. My name is Margaret, and at 56, I've lived through enough to know that life isn't just about the moments we cherish, but also the ones we endure. My first marriage was a storm that left its scars, but then came Richard, with his kind eyes and a smile that promised peace. He brought with him Alex, his son from another life, a young man in his early 30s whose charm was as enigmatic as the shadows that seemed to follow him. Our days together were like the steady rhythm of a well-worn path, predictable yet comforting. But beneath this calm surface, there was always this sense of something waiting, like the calm before a storm. One sunny afternoon, as I was lost in the mundane task of watering the garden, Alex appeared with that twinkle in his eye, the one that always hinted at mischief or perhaps something deeper. "Margaret," he said, his voice smooth as silk, "how about we hit the golf course today, just you and me?" The invitation was innocent enough, a chance to bond over a sport I've always enjoyed. I agreed, not knowing that this simple outing would unravel threads of our lives in ways I could never have imagined. As we drove to the golf course, the sun casting long shadows across the road, Alex's casual chatter seemed to dance around something unspoken. His eyes, usually so guarded, flickered, with a light that suggested he was about to share something significant. The golf course was serene, the green stretching out like a canvas waiting for the strokes of our clubs. We started the game. The day of the golf outing arrives, and I find myself more excited than I've been in years. The sun is bright, the air crisp, and the golf course looks like a painting, with its lush greens and manicured fairways. Alex greets me with a warm hug, his touch lingering a bit longer than usual, sending a subtle thrill through me. We start, with a few practice swings, laughing over my rusty form. As we walk the course, our conversation flows easily, touching on everything from my past marriage to his aspirations. There's a moment when Alex helps me with my grip, his hands over mine, guiding me through the swing. His proximity sends an unexpected shiver down my spine. The warmth of his breath brushes against my ear as he whispers tips on how to improve my swing. We continue playing, but there's a new tension between us, a silent acknowledgement of something, brewing beneath our polite banter. As we reach the 9th hole, the game takes a turn. Alex steps closer, his voice low and intimate. "You know, Margaret, there's something about you that's always intrigued me." His words hang in the air, charged with an unspoken promise. I feel a flush of heat, not just from the sun, but from the intensity of his gaze. We pause at the clubhouse for a drink, the atmosphere thick with anticipation. Alex's hand finds mine under the table, his thumb tracing circles on my skin. It's a simple gesture, yet it feels like a prelude to something more, something that could change the dynamics of our relationship forever. The game resumes, and with each swing, the air seems to crackle with electricity. Alex's eyes linger on me, not just with the affection of a friend. As the game progressed, the tension between Alex and me escalated to a fever pitch. After a particularly good shot, Alex pulled me into a celebratory embrace, and in that moment, something shifted. Our lips met in a kiss that was both surprising and inevitable. The shock of what we'd done hit us both, but instead of pulling away, we found ourselves drawn closer, the forbidden nature of our act fueling our desire. We continued our game, but now every touch, every look was charged with a new, electric meaning. We decided to keep this secret, our little indiscretion on the golf course, away from Richard's knowing eyes. However, this wasn't the end. Over. The next few weeks, Alex and I found ourselves making excuses to return to the golf course, each visit deepening our affair. The first time we returned, the air was thick with anticipation. Alex's hand brushed mine as we walked, sending a thrill through me that was both exhilarating and terrifying. We played, but our minds were elsewhere, our hearts racing with the thrill of our secret. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the green, Alex whispered, "Margaret, I can't stop thinking about you." His voice was a soft caress, and I knew then that this was more than just a fleeting moment of passion. Our visits became more frequent, each one more daring than the last. We'd find secluded spots on the course, away from prying eyes, where we could let our guard down. There, under the cover of trees or behind the clubhouse, we'd share moments that felt stolen from time itself. The secrecy added a layer of intensity to our encounters. Every touch was a whisper, every kiss a promise. We were playing with fire, and the heat was intoxicating. But with each passing day, the weight of our secret grew heavier. I'd catch Richard's eyes on me, a look of concern or suspicion, and my heart would sink. The guilt was a constant companion, whispering in my ear, reminding me of the betrayal. Yet the pull towards Alex was undeniable. His touch was like a drug, and I was addicted. We'd planned months have passed since that first electrifying encounter. On the golf course, and our secret rendezvous have become a routine. The thrill of sneaking around adds an edge to our encounters, but guilt begins to gnaw at me. Richard, ever the observant husband, starts noticing the changes. He comments on how I seem more vibrant, more alive. Alex and I grow more careless, our excuses thinner. One evening, Richard suggests a family golf outing, wanting to join in on what he perceives as our new shared hobby. The idea sends a wave of panic through me. Alex and I exchange a look, a silent agreement to keep our composure. The day arrives, and we're all on the course, Richard blissfully unaware of the tension between his wife and son. The sun is bright, casting long shadows across the green as we set up at the first hole. Richard, with his usual enthusiasm, starts, talking about his swing technique, oblivious to the undercurrents. Alex and I, on the other hand, are acutely aware of every glance, every touch. As we walk to the next hole, Richard, in high spirits, wraps an arm around my shoulder. "Isn't this fun?" he says, his voice filled with genuine joy. I nod, forcing a smile, my heart pounding as Alex watches us, his expression unreadable. The game progresses, and with each swing, the tension mounts. Alex and I are careful not to be too close, not to linger too long in each other's presence. But there's a moment, as Richard is distracted by a difficult shot, where Alex's hand brushes against mine, sending a jolt through me. We reach the 9th hole, the halfway point, and Richard suggests we take a break for some refreshments. At the clubhouse, as we sit, I feel Alex's foot subtly press against mine under the table. The contact is brief but electric, a silent conversation in a room full of noise. Richard, ever the attentive husband, notices my flushed cheeks. "Are you okay, dear? You look a bit flushed. Maybe the sun's too much?" His concern is genuine, and it twists the knife of guilt deeper into my heart. I manage a weak smile. The family outing starts well, with laughter and light-hearted competition. Richard's enthusiasm is infectious, and for a moment, I can almost forget the storm brewing inside me. Alex and I are careful, our movements measured, our words chosen with the precision of a surgeon. But the weight of our secret makes every interaction feel like a performance, a delicate dance on the edge of a precipice. As the game progresses, the strain becomes palpable. We're all smiles and cheers, but beneath it, there's a tension that could snap at any moment. During a particularly tense moment, Richard, trying to lighten the mood, makes a playful remark about Alex and me being a good team. His words, meant in jest, hit too close to home. My heart skips a beat, and I falter, dropping my club. The metal clatters against the green, a sound that seems to echo through the silence that follows. Richard, concerned, comes over to check on me, his brow furrowed in worry. In that moment, Alex's hand brushes mine, a gesture of comfort that's too familiar, too intimate. It's a whisper of a touch, but it might as well have been a shout. Richard's eyes narrow, suspicion clouding his features. He looks from me to Alex, the air thick with unspoken questions. "Are you okay, Margaret?" Richard asks, his voice laced with concern, but there's an edge to it now, a sharpness that wasn't there before. I nod, my throat tight. Yes, just a bit clumsy today. Richard's gaze lingers on us a moment longer. Then he turns back to his game, but not before I see the shadow of doubt cross his face. Alex and I exchange a look, a silent agreement to tread more carefully. The rest of the game is a blur of forced smiles and cautious glances. Every time Alex and I are near each other, I feel Richard's eyes on us like a hawk watching its prey. The sun, once a source of warmth and joy, now feels like a spotlight, illuminating our deceit. As we reach the final hole, Richard, perhaps sensing the shift in the atmosphere, tries to rally our spirits. The outing ends, and the drive home is silent, the air thick with unspoken questions. Richard's suspicion lingers, casting a shadow over what was once a joyful family outing. Alex and I retreat into our own worlds, the thrill of our affair now overshadowed by the looming threat of exposure. In the days that follow, Richard becomes more distant, his mind clearly troubled. Alex and I decide to end our affair, the risk too great, the guilt too consuming. However, the damage is done. One evening, as the sun sets, casting an orange glow through our living room window, Richard confronts me. His voice is quiet, filled with hurt rather than anger. "Margaret," he begins, his eyes searching mine for the truth. "I need to know. Is there something going on between you and Alex?" The room feels like it's closing in on me. My heart races, but I manage to keep my voice steady. "Richard, I'm so sorry," I confess, the weight of my actions pressing down on me like a physical force. He looks away, his face a mask of pain. "I thought we had something special, something real," he whispers, his voice breaking. "Our marriage, once a sanctuary, now feels like a fragile shell."